we're the Stoics now. I mean, we're not sages, but you know what? None of them were, probably. I mean, there's a there's one thought here, which is that Stoicism is an aspirationalist program. Similar in some ways that we might understand Christianity to be. It's like, look, you make yourself alike to the Son of God. That's something that you can never achieve, but it's still, you're better for trying. I think that Stoicism just doesn't have that divinity there. But in some ways, it's got that same aspirational program. The issue here is that, look, in some ways, we are the inheritors of a tradition that has, on the one hand, had its dogmatic elements, but also its self-critical elements. The Stoics disagreed with each other. The Stoics, and by the way, the Stoics also responded to academic criticism too. And so that's a very clear indication, even from the very beginning. And so Arcesilaus and Zeno were in regular conversation, and Zeno's views were improved by the skeptic Arcesilaus's criticisms. And so Stoicism is not a static system. Stoicism is something that is kept alive. It is, and the second that it becomes something that you can say someone's no longer a Stoic because they don't subscribe to Epictetus's grand division, or they're not committed to the sufficiency thesis that virtues not only the only good but sufficient for a good life. If you're not committed to that, then you no longer get to count as a Stoic. I think that makes Stoicism a dead dogma. It's playing Roman now. We just play like we pretend like we're Romans now. That it's a kind of you just being an antiquarian, as opposed to being a living, breathing philosophical program that they can disagree with each other. And that was the case with the ancient Stoics too. The ancient Stoics had a debate about like whether or not if you said like, look, I mean, Ariston of Chios and Chrysippus had a debate in effect that like, look, if you think that the externals are things that don't matter or not things of value, and it turns out that having money, having health, having status are externals, and they are, then they're not valuable. And Aristotle then says, well, then why should I care if I'm sick? You know, I don't care. Like, I don't care one way or the other whether or not I'm sick. And Chrysippus says, well, you know, you should still prefer to be well to being sick. And it's not just because of the fact that, right? And so this notion of the preferred and different then was something that was a controversial feature internal to the Stoic program. And that, you might say, that little thing, right? Where it's like, look, Stoicism's kind of got this weird thing to it, right? It's like if you really do think that externals are things that you should just be indifferent to, then does it matter if your orange juice has got, you know, pieces of broken glass in it? We're like, it's an external. Why do I care? And so, but the answer is, look, there are that if you kind of take Chrysippus's line, it turns out that they're preferred indifference. Why? Because my job is to take care of this body, right? And this body is in some ways part of my duty to myself and to the world around me. And so I've got to prefer that this body stay healthy. And that's, again, I'm not harmed if the body is, I'm not harmed and it's not a bad, but it's still preferable, right? This body, and it's in the exact same reason why Epictetus makes a great analogy in the Discourses. He's like, look, you know, you should take care of your body in exactly the same way that you take care of your garden tools. Like, look, it's a tool, right? It's a tool for you to do your job of putting the world in order. And so you should prefer that it be oiled after you use it in exactly the same way which you should rest your body after exercise. So I think that Stoicism has to be a live doctrine for us.